Given the conditions Saturday, what sort of were you able to take away from watching film of the NC State game?
That obviously it wasn't ideal for us with the weather, and it was difficult to execute our jobs all the way across the board. But to play against an NC State team who has a very strong front line that they had and a very sound defense, so the things that we can take away are some of the pre-snaps looks that we had. The style of defense that a lot of the ACC is adapting to. It's another opportunity for us to see our offense versus, the defenses that we have. And more importantly, it was nice to see us go out and execute before the ball's thrown in some of our routes and things like that. We had a lot of, premier looks to get the ball out there, but unfortunately with the wet ball that we had, it was hard to execute in those looks.
How can that help you, maybe looking at the pre-snap stuff going forward where, maybe you don't play an ACC team for a little bit, I guess 1 week, but, going into Stanford, how can that kind of help you out going into this game?
Well, it makes you put a little more emphasis on that part of the game. You kind of take the ball being released and being put out there for granted when you go through, putting X's and O's up on the board. Every play looks great on the board, and every play looks great in a pre-snap look. And for us now, we can truly focus back on getting the ball into the guys' hands after the stuff that's put on the board and after the things that we talk over in pre-snap looks are gone over. We have quite a few great teams to go out and play against, and we put together, on the offensive side of the ball, a decent set of a first half of a season to go off of and to learn from and to build from as we move forward and try to string together a couple wins.
That being said, the forecast for Saturday is clear with a high of 74, a low of 60-something. How excited are you for those conditions?
I've never been more excited to be in South Bend, I can tell you that. Hurricane Matthew has gone past, and we're thankful up here.
Well, thanks.
DeShone, obviously right up the middle.
Okay.
Obviously, the end result of the game with Stanford last year was very disappointing for you guys. But what were your memories of that game? Obviously, it was one of the better games in college football a year ago.
Yeah, it was everything and more when it comes to being in a rivalry game like that with your full powerhouse academic all the way across the board, two teams on two sides of the country playing against each other, and you hear all about it. And to go out there and play, and it was awesome. Obviously, we were playing for a national championship that game, and an opportunity to play in the national championship, and to lose the way we did definitely hurt. And that's something that's definitely fueling our preparation moving forward for this game, and we're definitely going to keep that in mind as we continue to get ourselves ready to go back out there and play against them again.
Is the intensity, the perspective still the same when you go up against them this week? Because obviously not as much is on the line as it was a year ago.
Yeah, it doesn't matter if both teams are undefeated or both teams are 0-win teams. When you're playing against Stanford, you know everything that's been put into this rivalry. There's a lot of history that goes back with this rivalry that I don't even know of, that I know that I have to go out and represent. To have the opportunity to put on a golden helmet against the Cardinal out there, it's an honor, and you really have to treat it that way. So moving into this game, there's nothing on my mind as far as a rocky start, a great start, personal accolades, and none of that's on your mind. You're just trying to focus up on how can you win a rivalry game against Stanford.
You guys are obviously in a position where you didn't expect to be or want to be at 2-4. You need 4 wins to get to a bowl game. How important do you think that is for the program to be able to right the ship, to be able to get to a bowl game?
What's important to this program is getting a win against Stanford, and that's 4 wins means nothing if we can't win this week. We need to go 1-0. We need to get back to who we are, and that's focusing up on figuring out a way of getting wins on a weekly basis. Obviously, a rocky start sucks, and we know what we need to do to end up in a bowl game position. But in order to get that far, we have to win this week.
DeShone, a couple of the players talked about how practice had been tweaked or changed a little bit to help you guys figure out how to get over the hump at the end of games, to make that one play here, one play there, whether that be the order of reps for the first team and the second team, some small tweaks like that. What have you seen that's different this week in terms of trying to, what BK has talked about, just make that one extra play?
Yeah, we pride ourselves with the schedule that we play, and it being as difficult as it is. We pride ourselves on getting ourselves to the fourth quarter and winning from there. And obviously, we put ourselves in positions to win every game that we lost this year in the fourth quarter. And with that, we have to make sure that practice aligns to that same philosophy of winning in the fourth quarter. And Coach Kelly really adjusted the way we go about that by mixing in some, red zone stuff, mixing in some 2-minute stuff in the beginning of the week rather than, having it just be a one little session on a Thursday. We're going to do it every day to prepare ourselves for that and to truly, build the confidence that's needed to go out and win those games. Last year's team, we had a bunch of guys with a bunch of experience who've been in fourth quarter situations, and we were able to come out successful in quite a few of those situations. And with that, this year's team, we're a little younger. I mean, that's the truth. And in order to prepare ourselves to win those fourth quarter situations and to finish strong, we have to be able to have the confidence and truly know what's getting ready to go out there every time we step on the field with the schedule that we play.
Could you sort of quantify, like, how much more red zone, for example, would you be doing? Is it just like one extra period, or is it half of a period on a Tuesday?
Yeah, a typical week, you're going to go out and throw out all your game plan ideas within Tuesday, figure it out, clean it up. Wednesday, you go back out there, you go again on the new refined list, try to clear that up. And then Thursday, or a little bit of Wednesday, you get into some of those situations with red zone and third down and exotic looks and things like that. And then Thursday, you clean everything up and prepare for the week. But instead of throwing exotic looks and throwing red zone on Wednesday and then cleaning up Thursday, we want to see it all week now. These are the situations that we're in, and these are the situations that have led us to losing games. So instead of dedicating 30 minutes to 45 minutes in a week to it, we're gonna put in every practice to make sure that we are completely confident what we're gonna do when we're in those situations.
Hey, DeShone. There's a perception out there that Coach Kelly blames players for when things aren't going right. I was wondering, how do you react when those things are said?
Blame is definitely not the word. In this game, there's 11 guys who are required to do their job, and in order for us to go out there and to give a better result than we've had in this last 6 games, he has to challenge guys. And when you guys sit up here and ask about specifics on guys, he's going to let you know exactly what happened in order for us not to come out successful, and that can be perceived as blame, but perception is a part of what we do here when we're doing media. James walks in and he gives an answer, and it's perceived as if he is saying that it's a horrible thing that coach puts blame on guys. But I'm sitting there having a conversation with him, and all he's trying to say is that, hey, it's tough when a coach calls you out, but we take that as a challenge here. We accept everything as a team, but individually you're going to have to get challenged to play your best. And when you're 2-4 right now, everyone has to point the finger at themselves and look themselves in the mirror and accept those challenges so that we can come out and be more successful and hopefully put together the wins that we need to put together in the second half of the season.
And obviously, as a quarterback, and quarterbacks all over the country, they're looked at as the leaders of the team. But it seems like you are just really calm and composed no matter what happens, win or lose. And I'm just wondering, where did you kind of learn from at a young age to be that way?
I really don't know. To be honest, last year you get thrown into the fire the way I did. You got to fake until you make it. You start pretending like you know what being a Notre Dame quarterback's like when you have no idea. And eventually it's kind of just built up that faking it becomes reality. Eventually I was able to accept the position here and learn the ins and outs of it, and now try to make it my own this season. And I think that goes back to the experiences that I had throughout high school, being a young guy, a freshman playing varsity basketball, and being put in a position of a point guard, and then playing baseball and being in a position of pitching and trying to lead a baseball team. I've always had the ball in my hand, and those butterflies that I had my freshman year in high school became smaller my sophomore year, and then eventually you get to your senior year and nothing really gets to you. And I was able to take those experiences and then apply them here. When you're out in the field, no matter if there's a million people watching you or 200, you're going to have to rely on your instincts and go back and reach back for those experiences that you've had in your past. And I've done a pretty good job of it, and I look forward to taking all these experiences from this year now and making myself a better quarterback. Never once have I ever played in anything like what we played in against NC State, but I can tell you now that a typical rainstorm up in South Bend won't affect me as much as it would have 2 weeks ago.
Aside from finishing, the other thing Coach mentions he's looking for the offense to do better is exerting its will. What does that mean, and how do you guys go about getting better at that?
Yeah, we need to be a team who goes out, starts strong, maintains that same strong start throughout a whole game, and then finish as strong as we started. We go out and we show great spurts. We have athletes all over the field. We have a great offensive line. We're completely sound across the board and very skilled. But with that, we haven't done a good job of going out and keeping our pedal to the floor the whole game. We hit lapses, and that's the truth. That's the reality of how this season has started, and those lapses have come back and ended up with 4 losses. And as an offense, we just need to do whatever we can to take that same energy that we have in our strong starts and our spurts in the second quarter and our spurts in the third and make it a complete game. The confidence that I have is because of that right there, is that we haven't had a full game. We have so much more to move forward on. There's a lot of teams out there right now who are peaking and are going to start heading downward because they had a solid game plan that's going to that defenses are going to adjust to. We have so much more out there, and as an offense, we can still put up so many more points and moving forward. That potential is what makes me excited on what this offense can do. We have the potential to put up 70 points a game. If we're going to get 10 drives, that should end in 10 touchdowns, and we know it. And we just look forward to going out there and getting better each week, and hopefully keeping our pedal to the floor and getting us points that we need to win games.
And one of the things you pointed out specifically was first downs, that maybe you're not doing as well in that. Is that part of the problem, is maybe you haven't been as focused or done as well in the first down and puts you behind the chains?
No, every play is its own play. You have to execute the way that you execute, and we're required to do certain things on certain plays, and our first down calls have been great calls. If we go out there and we execute what we're supposed to do and get ourselves into the right play and then go out and do our duty, we'll be as successful as we are on first down as we are on second and third. I think that's a mindset, that's an attitude, and we in practice, I'm starting to see that mindset and attitude that every rep that we get, that people are out there competing. We don't need to preserve ourselves. We have way too many athletes out there to go out and fill in for spots when needed. And I think that mindset and attitude has changed, and we'll continue to move forward, and we'll be more successful on first down, second down, third down, fourth quarter, first quarter. Every situation in the game, we'll be able to go out there and get the points that we need.
DeShone right here. A little off topic, but you had a kid from MakeAWish Foundation with you guys a couple weeks ago, and I'm wondering what that experience was like, and also how spending time with a kid like that might kind of alter your perspective.
Yeah, Peter's awesome. He came in, and a guy who's gone through so many things that we could never imagine. It makes you truly seize the day and seize the opportunities that you get. Notre Dame does a good job with our community service and bringing in guys like Peter to really put ourselves in a position that allows us to understand that we're truly blessed to be where we are, to have the abilities to go out and play the game that we love, and also to put in perspective the things that we think are hard. I mean, these guys are literally going out and fighting for their lives on a daily basis, and the chemo, the radiation, and everything that they go through is nothing compared to a 2-hour practice that we put on out here. So those experiences that Notre Dame has given to us really allows me to truly learn to seize the opportunities that we have and to continue to move forward and through rough times like we are in right now at a 2-4 start, to truly just be happy for the blessings that we have and be optimistic and moving forward and going back out there and fighting again like those guys do each and every day for their lives.